Yep, we can. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new word search. I've got 7 different word searches. Each contains about 50 words. I'll go through it. If you've got any other questions about English, let me know. I'll see what I can do to help. If you've got any general questions or about the word usage, I'll try and talk about each of the words as we find them. And I've got it set to low latency, so you should only just be a few seconds behind me. So I'll get started on it. So, cleaver. That's a kitchen utensil like a large knife, but it's more used to chopping. So, sudden. It might happen unexpectedly. Nastily. It happens very quickly. Nastily is something very bad. Empathize. If something was to happen to someone else, I might be able to have similar experiences. I'd be able to empathize. Fault. No, faultless. So something might happen, but it doesn't look to be a particular blame for anybody. Exalt. We're talking very highly about somebody. Gridiron. The only time I've seen that used is us talking about American football. Irritate. Something gets annoying. You're on a plane and there's a child that keeps crying, and you've been up 20 hours already and just want some sleep. So, and another example is you might go down to the beach and there might be some animals there, like dust mites or something. I'm not exactly sure what's there, but you might get another common example would be mosquitoes. You're outside and they come and to get a feed out of your arm. Yellow pages. So I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in Australia, they're not printing it as much anymore. There's a lot more's gone online. But residences and businesses would used to get 2 phone books, white pages for people and residential addresses, and yellow pages were for businesses, and that'd be sorted by what the business did. So you could find all of the photographers together, all of the people that made photo frames together. The mechanic, you'd go look for the under M rather than the name of who owns it. With binoculars, it's something that helps things far away appear bigger to get a better picture of it. Undercover, you might have some police driving around in the normal police wagons, but there might also be a few other units that are driving around in what looks like normal cars, but actually still police vehicles. Volatile, the situation, a lot of people could be on edge. So what's called volatile, the Cuban Missile Crisis, where everyone was on edges. If you're not familiar, the Russians looked to put nuclear missiles into America, and America were worried about nuclear missiles being right on their doorstep. And they weren't able to react to launch their missiles should they launch the Cuban ones. And they thought that brought the world closer to nuclear war. So off stage, you might have someone on theatre who was maybe coughing, and but they're coughing off stage, so that's not a problem. Disproportionate. So I guess it's something a reaction that doesn't quite meet the needs of what the original action was. So you might have someone walking and doing jaywalking. So they're walking across the road from one side to the other. Or maybe they're speeding and just only a few kilometers over the limit, but the fine might be a few weeks' wages. and in which case the fine is disproportionate to the crime. So a track meet as well is an event for athletics. So it might be a weekend where people compete from the local region. They run some maybe 100-meter races, 200-meter races, 400, and javelin, discus, that sort of thing. Independently. So there might be 2 independent breaks for a train, and if the electrical system fails, then there's still a backup. Fetch. Let's go away and get something. I might have to go over to the neighbour's house and fetch a cup of sugar if I was baking some biscuits and found out that I didn't have any myself. Nightfall, when it starts to get dark. And hopefully, we're hoping something's good, so we might be turning up late for a train, and hopefully the train's running late as well, so we could get onto it. Sought after. A lot of people were looking for it. So, or graduates from a particular university are highly sought after. A reflector. Cyclists might have reflectors on the front and back, so if they're riding at night, they're not visible to cars. So it's not a light by itself, but it's the headlights of a car would reflect the light back to make it more visible. The fine print of a contract is usually where all the terms and conditions are that you might want to have a look at. A house, it's usually where someone lives. A rupture. There might be a tear in something. So you might have a container that has got 10 litres of water in it, and that's meant to be your water for the weekend, but if it had a rupture in it, it might start leaking, and that would be bad. So insulin as a medicine. An instructor, someone who's looking to teach someone else a new skill or similar. A guise. So let's say you're working at a shop and you normally shut the door after a certain period of time, not let the public in, but you've got someone who is comes up and it looks like they need help. They've got a sore arm, walking with a limp, and signal for help. So they might use a guise of being injured to come inside and then steal something and then run away. Honorary. You might not to be part of a group. Like one thing I know that happens in Australia is honorary doctorate. So to get a doctorate, and this is for the science, you have to study and create a new, unique piece of research in your field, and then have that reviewed and be accepted. So, but you might have a university give away an honorary doctorate for someone who's done a lot for the community as a way of expressing thanks. So, and a cuddle. I might go to a friend's house and spend some time cuddling a dog, or if I'm engaged and haven't seen my fiance for a few weeks, probably going to be doing a bit more than cuddling. Economics. That's the act of examining money, I guess, and trade and barter. I'm not sure exactly. Hardball. It might be a way of saying the niceties are off. So now we're playing hardball. Might have been doing a trade deal, and then now we're trying to squeeze them for every last cent. Predictably. You might be able to figure out a large rush and find out that it's extra large on weekends where there's a public holiday, as more people might be going away. Tin foil. It's also known as aluminium foil, I guess, and for Americans, aluminum foil. It's a thin sheet of metal that's used for cooking. enshrine. And rustproof might be a special coat given to a car or similar to prevent it from rusting. It might be like paint or varnish. Insolvent. It might be a company where they've got more bills than they've got money in the bank. So what's left to go? Abandoned, raid, bask, taps, spade, botany, comma, relive, wither, gargantuan, radii, corporal, and hang, and involvement. There's corporal, so that's someone of a particular rank in the Defence Force. Wither, I might not put some fertilizer in the soil or water the plants properly, and they might go through and wither, not grow to their full potential. Abandoned, there might be a car that's just left in the road, and after not seeing it move for a few weeks, might call the police and then find out that, well, it's been stolen and that's where the thieves dropped it off. It's been abandoned. Comma. A punctuation mark. Bask. Might go out and bask in the sun. Botany. Studying and working with flowers and plants. Spade. It's another name for a shovel. Might be a smaller one though. I'm not too sure. Involvement. So there might be a crime and one of the criminals, or I might try and cover up my involvement in it and say, well, I didn't know they were going to rob the bank, but I just happened to get them some TNT to blow the safe, which was unusual. And hang. Might hang a new picture frame up on the wall. There's gargantuan, something that's very, very large. Radii. The for a circle, measuring the length from the middle to the edge. The diameter is the length of the circle from one side of it to the other, straight through the middle. And having a bit of trouble finding the rest, so if anyone can help out. If it takes a bit too long, I'll move on to one of the other ones and I can show where the results are. But they'll either be across or down. There's raid, where you temporarily go in and gain access to a ground and then leave afterwards. So it could raid a pantry to have a whole bunch of snacks. There's taps, so it might be turning on and off water. And just relive to go. There we go. And I'll kick on to the next one. So, digress. Commonly said with, but I digress. It's when someone seems to be getting off subject. Looks to be bookcase. Culminate. So the story might tell a story of 4 or 5 different people, but the story culminates when all 5 of them meet in the room together. Footstep. You might hear them going down the hallway. Fur is someone that drives cars professionally. It's not quite, you wouldn't call a taxi driver a chauffeur, but a limousine driver would be, a chauffeur. And investigative. You might have an investigative reporter who they don't normally do day-to-day stories like sports or similar. They might have someone say, hey, look, there was a bit of corruption, and they go through, find out the story behind it. Unsolicited. So that's when someone might drop pamphlets in your letterbox. Whatever it is, you're giving someone or talking to someone, and they haven't asked for you. So normally, if you're at the shops, you can walk into the shop and then the person will talk to you about whatever it is they sell. But unsolicited, there might be someone out the front of the shops, and anyone that goes past, they're trying to sell them insurance or something along those lines. Southeastern, so a direction. Pastor, normally find them in a church. Entrust, we might entrust the bank to keep hold of our valuables and get a safe deposit box. Harmoniously, living together without any argument or quarrel, and possibly even being beneficial for both of us. Scalpel, used by doctors to cut. Unacceptably. The project might have been cancelled early because it was going to be unacceptably long. Replication. So to maybe take a design of something else and build something similar to it or identical. Economize. If a household was on a budget, they'd be looking to economize and see where they could save money, so there might be more cooking at home. Nowhere. And kneecap, so the front of the knee. I think bloodless is going to be in, but I'm not sure. Yep, okay. I think cardinal is in there. And we've got nervous system as well, so part of the body. Not sure if it's highlight or highlights. I'll try both. Yeah, I may not have enough time to see a whole movie, but I might ask my friend what were the highlights, or if the sporting game. Nickname. It's not someone's real name, but it's what they refer to amongst the group. Nectarine, it's a type of fruit. And babysitter. So the parents might have a young child, maybe 5 or 6, and get one of the older children for them to come over, stay and look after the child while they go out and have a dinner. Talon. It's might be on the bird's wings to a bit like a claw. Slump. Might be the sports teams usually at the top of all of the teams, but they might have lost 5 or 6 games in a row. Call it a slump, but they might bring everything back and still get the championship. One. And meat. Sanitation, so trying to stop diseases by keeping things clean. Prof is short for professor. Anchovy, it's a food type of fish. Very small and sometimes on pizzas. Canal, so it's a dugout area where ships can go through. And vortices, sorry. So if you're watching a plane land and it goes through cloud, the air spinning around, a vortice is generated by the wing as it flies through. And that's the change of pressure. Additionally. And acquaint. I might go and acquaint myself with somebody, get to know them better. So missing prone, pilot, vulnerable, unprintable, recycle, void, weightless, rudder, retrieval, yeast, plurally, excusable, and skimp and hygiene. So there's rudder, the ship, the bottom part of a ship that helps steer it. Recycle is the reuse of an item, but it's usually by melting it down. I think the first time Coke was selling stuff in bottles, they would get the bottles back and then wash them and then reuse them that way. But they since got the glass bottles back, crushed them down and used the glass to melt it down and make new glasses. Retrieval. So someone going in like fetch, going away and getting something, but there might be something like an automated document retrieval system. I think one of the universities has got books in a whole bunch of bins. So if you wanted to get a book, you don't go to the shelf and find where it is. The system knows where it is. It gets the book and brings it to you. Void. So it might be the void of space where there's nothing there. You could say also warranty is void if the people open up the device. So yeast. It's a living organism used to make bread. Progeny. Or prone, sorry. You might be lying flat. Pilot. So this is in charge of an aircraft, but there's also a pilot referred to with shipping, and that is someone that there's a captain of the ship, but when a ship is going into the harbour, the pilot will go out and meet with the captain and the bridge, and the pilot will instruct the captain on how to safely get into the harbour because they know how to navigate at any of the dangers and similar. Excusable. Skimp. So, again, with the budgeting, you might try and skimp on some of the niceties. So you might only get some still wine rather than sparkling top shelf stuff. Blearily. After the late night soccer game, finishing at 3 a.m, half of the staff blearily came in the morning. Looking for parameter. There we go. So doing some tests, I might adjust different parameters like a car crash and test how safe it is at various speeds. And something adjustable. Hitting a bit of a wall here. So hygiene, weightless, and vulnerable. There's weightless. Travel up into space, you would feel weightless, and there's also a plane that goes up really high and then it comes back down to Earth, and so that way the people inside feel weightless for that while that's happening. I think I'll ask it to show answers for this one. I can't quite find the other two. Okay, so hygiene. Unprintable and excusable. Okay. I think I'll wrap it up there. I know I had a lot more ready to go, but I'm just not feeling the best at the moment and look to go through. I will see about making this a regular schedule event for the channel, unless because this is a way I can easily talk about more words and be interactive as well. Ask if anyone's got any questions about the usage and similar, then I'd be able to do it. And I wanted to at least have something that once a week easily and look forward to. And okay, I'll wrap it up there. So thanks for watching. Have a good night.